Okay, so today we are continuing looking at solving multi-step equations. Okay, we're just looking at problems that are going to cause you to do it a little bit differently. All right, so I got 5 examples we're going to work together, and then I've got more practice for you. Okay, so with number 1, these are just slightly different things than what we've been doing. As you look at number 1, the steps are going to stay the same as they were the other day. The first thing we need to do is simplify each side of the equation. Well, in number 1, here's what's different. Notice you have 2 things in a parentheses, but what is out in front of them? A negative sign. Well, guess what you have to do? You still have to take that negative sign and distribute it. But all that's going to happen when you distribute that negative sign, it's like you're distributing a negative 1. So all it will actually end up doing is changing the sign of everything. So instead of being a plus 3x, it's going to be a minus 3x. And instead of being a negative 7, it is going to be a positive 7. And then you leave the rest of the problem the same. Now, this problem is not ready to go yet because it's still not simplified. On the left-hand side, you can combine those like terms. And you get negative 3x plus 15 equals 30. From there, it's solving a 2-step equation like we've been doing. Get the negative 3x by itself by subtracting 15. And then you want to get x by itself, so you got to divide both sides by negative 3. And you end up getting x is equal to negative 5. Okay? Questions on that? Not really anything different. Something we're still good of there. Okay, now looking at number 2. Here's what you need to notice about number 2. This time you've got something divided by, all your variables divided by a number. Okay, when you have a problem that starts out like this and the entire thing is divided by a number, well, you need to undo that division so that you can get the top part on a single level where there's nothing underneath it. So you've got to think, how do I undo dividing by 5? Well, you undo dividing by 5 when you multiply. Okay? So here you have dividing by 5. To undo dividing by 5, that means you have to multiply. And if you do it to one side, you've got to do it to the other side. All right? When you multiply by the number you're dividing, those things just cancel. So it leaves you with negative 2x plus 4 plus 4x is equal to, on the right-hand side, 12 times 5 is 60. Now, are we ready to start solving the problem? No. Each side is not simplified. Here I see I've got a negative 2x and a positive 4x. If I combine those two, I get positive 2x plus 4 is equal to 60. And now I'm in a situation where I'm ready to solve and get x by itself. So I would subtract a 4 from both sides. I get 2x is equal to 56. And then you want to divide both sides by 2. And you end up getting x is equal to 28. Are there any questions on how that happened? Okay. All right. Let's come over here to number 3. Now, number 3 through 5 are the hardest types of problems, okay, that you're going to see. Because you're going to be tempted to do something at first. So as you look at number 3, it looks very similar to the second problem, doesn't it? But what is the issue? Well, here's the issue. Not everything on this side is divided by 2. There's also a plus 8. Here's the deal. When you have a big long thing, all right, that is up top and then divided by 2, before you multiply by 2 to get rid of that, you want to make sure this whole division thing is actually by itself. Okay? So, before you can get this by itself, what do you have to do to this plus 8? Well, you want to move it over. It's already being added, so to undo adding, you would want to subtract. So I'm going to start off by subtracting 8 from both sides. And look what happens. Once I do that, I get the big division part by itself. Negative 7 minus 8 is negative 15. Now I'm in a scenario where I've got that whole crazy kind of fraction deal. Are y'all with me? Now, to undo dividing by 2, you would have to multiply by 2. Y'all are going to have to do this on your own. Make sure you're seeing this. Those things would cancel out. You would get 3x minus 7 minus 5. Negative 15 times 2 becomes negative 30. Now, we're still not ready to go because we've got to combine our like terms. So, you get 3x. Negative 7 minus 5 is negative 12, which is equal to negative 30. Now we can work it out. Add 12 to both sides because we have to undo subtracting 12. And we get 3x is equal to, it should be negative 18. Divide both sides by 3. And we end up getting x is equal to negative 6. How do you feel about that? It's not too hard. You just got to recognize, even though there's a fraction there, before you can undo the fraction, you need to get it by itself. Okay? So, number 4 is very similar. We're going to hop right in and work it out. Looking at number 4, before I can get the fraction by itself, I got to get rid of that adding 5. How do you undo adding 5? You subtract 5. You guys are getting it. So 2x minus 9 plus 3 divided by 2 now equals negative 14. To undo, dividing by 2, you need to multiply by 2. That cancels out. 2x minus 9 plus 3 equals negative 28. We're not ready yet. We got to combine those things. So we end up with 2x minus 6 equals negative 28. Are we ready to get x by itself? Yeah. Add that 6 to both sides. 2x is equal to negative 22. Divide it by 2. You end up getting x is equal to negative 11. Concerns? All right. There is one last example. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to try it on your own, and then I'll work it out. Ready, set, go. All right. So after 2 minutes looking here at number 5, it is very similar to 3 and 4. However, the main difference here is you've got your fraction and then it subtracts something. Well, to undo subtraction, you would want to use addition. So you would start by adding 5 to move everything over. So it's 6x plus 7 plus 5, all divided by 2, is equal to 12. To undo dividing by 2, again, you want to multiply. So those would cancel. 6x plus 7 plus 5 would then equal 24 because that 2's got to multiply to both sides. Then, like terms, so you got to combine them. 6x plus 12 is equal to 24. Now, we can get that 6x by itself by subtracting 12. 6x will equal 12. Divide both sides by 6. And you get x is equal to 2. All right, so those are the last kind of problems, the ones that are slightly different, that you can see on your test that's coming up this Friday. What I'm going to give you now is a big practice thing, okay? And it's just a different set of problems that are all alike that give you some chance to practice and do this, okay? Now, some of us, and I'm preaching to digital learners as well aren't taking advantage of this. And we may or may not be failing the class, and you just think something's magically going to happen. You've got to work at this. Do y'all understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? All right, so let's make sure we're taking advantage. Let's make sure we're working. Ready, set, go.